Hi everyone, good evening. For the benefit of everyone who's joined in on time, let's get started. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Franklin, and we are here to discuss the shortage of accountants that is there in the US and what kind of opportunities this presents for you, right? The opportunities like how you can work in the US and earn salaries of up to $60,000. All right. So any part during the webinar, if you guys have any questions, please keep dropping them down in the chat or in the Q&A. We have some of our experts already on the call who will be answering live. And for most of or for the unanswered questions, I'll take them up at the end of the session. Cool. Okay. So let's start off by understanding why we are doing the Miles US pathway, right? So let's look at some of the most famous Indians that are there in the world, right? You can see some of the names that are there. Ajay Banga, Sundar Pichai, Bhavesh Agarwal, right? So all these are like famous names, and if there's one thing that is common between all of them is that they've done their bachelor's in India, they've done their master's in the US, and all of them are from most of them are from the tech background. For example, if we take Sundar Pichai, he's done his BTech in India, he's done his MS in Stanford University, and he's gone on to become the CEO of Google, right? Now, how did this happen and how did they become so famous in the world, right? So the tech industry had a similar kind of shortage that we are right now seeing that is there in the accounting industry. We'll get to the shortage of accountants in some time, but earlier the tech also had a similar kind of shortage. And what techies at that time did, they found out two solutions. One is outsourced to countries like India and China, and the second is create a pathway for these Indians to come to the US and work at their own offices there, right? So the Miles US pathway is also kind of doing the same thing, right? And because of that, and the standards that these okay, let's go back here, and the standards that these guys have set, um, right now everyone after finishing their graduation, after finishing their high school, idolizes these people, right? They want to become more like them. So that's the reason they go into tech fields. They want to do tech related courses. And this leaves a huge gap for accounting businesses or accounting fields in universities and in colleges, right? So, and that is where the shortage of accountants came in. And if we just look at it in terms of numbers, the number of new registered businesses in the last 5 years have grown from 3.5 million to 5.5 million, while the number of CPA pass outs in the last 5 years, they have declined significantly. They have gone from 23,000 to about 17,000, right? And in US, the total number of businesses right now is about 3.2 million, and the total CPAs in the US is about 670. And do the math for every one, we in the books for about 50 different companies, right? Now, all our accountants here, and do you think it is for that to happen, right? And this is where accountants are overworked. They are overburdened. Accounting doesn't become sexy. Like everyone's on the news, right? Everyone's seeing what's going on LinkedIn and things that are happening, right? So this creates a huge issue. And this is the reason people do not want to come into accounting. But tech field right now, there are people who are on the bench, people who are ready if like if someone just gets up and decides to, that's not right. And to do sit and make sure all this work is complete. Right now, let's talk about what happens if all these things are, if what an accountant does doesn't happen. What if audits are not filed and compliances are not followed, right? So this creates a huge issue in the global economy. Like for example, companies that are listed on the stock market on NSE and BSE in India right now, there was a similar kind of shortage in India, and if there were no, and if there are not enough CAs to do audits or compliance, what would happen, right? Companies that are valued fairly, they any company could just increase their value, decrease the value. This will affect the entire economy, the country's economy, the global economy will be affected by that, right? And that is what we are trying to prevent. And that's what we are trying to understand. And like, so this is just one of the, let's go on YouTube to show you the short, how big the
economy is in crisis. There's a huge accountant shortage, and America wants you.
There are 17% fewer accountants employed.
So let me get this straight. We're currently short on eggs, butter, and
I'm in the U.S. for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
Okay, so it's not just us who's showing, who's created a video about the shortage and thing. A lot other publications that have come out with reports. For example, the Washington Post releases a journal saying that the accountant shortage threatens capitalism's future. Fortune says that there's definitely an accountant shortage out there. MBAs to degree and companies are struggling, right? And if you just look at it in terms of numbers of how much is needed, there are America needs around 126,000 accountants every year, but the graduates that are coming out are only 72,000, and this leads to a shortage of about 53,000 there in the US, right? And what we are trying to do is fill the gap. How? Already there are the big fours that are outsourcing their work to India. That is one part that is taken care of. That is where Miles 1.0 came in, where we got CPA to India, where Indian accountants could become a CPA in India and work at big fours and top MNCs and become a global accountant. Now, phase two is where Indian accountants can go to the US and work, right? So first, let's talk about what was there earlier before the Miles US pathway. Before the Miles US pathway, Indian accountants can still go to the US. They can do their masters in accounting, but they would just get a 1 year OPT in the US, right? Now, what this led to was not a profitable return for any of the accountants that went there. Like, for example, if you just look at the math, if you go there, you would probably spend around $45,000 in expenses, and your earning potential, let's say you get the same salary package that Miles is offering you, and then you repay your student loan, your interest on student loan, your taxes, and you also account for the cost of living in the US, you'd end up with a net loss of about $16,000, right? So this is not profitable. This is not something that is feasible or is even possible for an average Indian to do that, right? So what Miles did was we copied the same tech playbook. Now, if we look at what the tech playbook is, tech playbook use something called the power of STEM. So tech graduates use something called the power of STEM. What is STEM? STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Okay. And the how the pathway looked for them was they would complete their BTech in India, they'll do their MS in computer science or any of their tech courses in the US, they'll get a 3 year work permit, right? So instead of a 1 year, tech would get a 3 year work permit. And this is only because they had STEM integrated into their courses. So after that, they will work in the US for 3 years. Beyond 3 years, it is completely up to the employer if they want to sponsor them for a H-1B visa, or they would hire them back in managerial positions back in India itself, right? But the key point over here is that techies, after doing their masters, they would get an opportunity to work in the US for 3 years instead of one. So we'll talk about how this affects the savings, the ROI in a completely different manner. All right. Um, okay. So what Miles did is we used the same tech playbook. We partnered with US universities, and we integrated business analytics into their masters in accounting program. Now, business analytics made these masters in accounting programs STEM certified. And this means that even you or even any Indian accountant would get the same 3-year work permit, just like engineers and techies did, right? And when we pitched it to the universities were very happy because universities got Indian accountants who could work over there, because universities were short on graduates because all students in the US were moving into more of the tech related courses. And this directly affected the public accounting firms who are now getting quality talent who will help them during the shortage that is there in the accounting industry, right? So we started the entire Miles US pathway in fall of 2022, where we started with just one university. And for the academic year of 23 and 24, we had partnered with about 400 with about 25 universities with 405 candidates who have moved to the US. Excuse me. And academic year of 24 and 25, we will have almost more than 1,000 candidates who will be moving to the US, right? So over here, until now, when I'm looking at the entire Miles US pathway, when I'm listening to it for the first time, I'll mainly have two questions in mind, right? So first one is, I'm supposed to go to the US, do my master's, and also pursue my CPA exam. How will I cope up with both of these things, right? Like two different exam, a lot of things that will come on my plate and things like that. Now, first, let's understand why the Masters in Accounting program was created in the US, right? So, in the US, to get a CPA license, you would need 150 credits, right? So CPA is equal to CA in India. So in India, to become a CA, you'll have to pass about 20 exams, right? So in the US, to become a CPA, you'll have to have 150 credits. Now, how you'll get this 150 credits is after you finish your bachelor's in the US, you will get about 120 credits, right? And with the 120 credits, you can sit for the CPA exams. You can write all your CPA exams. But to apply for your CPA license, you need to get the 150 credits. So to cover for this 30 credit gap is why the Masters in Accounting program was created. And if you look at it, the entire Masters in Accounting program curriculum is directly aligned with your CPA exam, right? So while you're doing your master's, you will also be studying for your CPA exam. And that is why we suggest that you pursue your CPA while you're pursuing your master's, so that when you pass out as a CPA and someone with a master's in the US, right? And the second thing is cost, right? Cost is a huge thing when you're going abroad to study, right? So first thing what we did was we also partnered with an Indian university called JAXOM, where you can complete 30% of your coursework in India. So what does that mean? So if 30 credits is your entire coursework for your master's, 30% of the 30 credits you can pursue in India itself, which means 9 credits about 9 credits you'll be pursuing in India itself, and these credits will be transferred to your US universities, where you'll be pursuing for the remaining 21 credits. All right. So what this helps in, it helps reduce your university fees by 30%. It helps you save up on the cost of living that you'll be spending like about another 3 to 6 months in the US to pursue this 30%, right? So that's one thing that we've done. Second thing that we've also done is we were able to get up to 40% scholarships for Miles candidates, right? So when we send students to the US, like you saw in the previous slides, it's not just one or two candidates. We send candidates in batches, which means about 30 to 60 students, which could fill up a classroom in one university, is the number of students that we are sending to each university. And universities are very happy to provide a scholarship for each student because all their seats are getting filled up, and because this also solves for the shortage that they've been facing, right? And the third thing that we've done is we've got a GRE, GMAT, as well as an IELTS TOEFL waiver for Miles candidates. So, like, if you have been looking to study abroad, you of course know that to go to the US or to any country in that, for that matter, you'll have to give a GRE, GMAT exam as well as your IELTS and TOEFLs to go there. Now, what we've done is, while we are speaking to the universities, we've asked them to give these waivers to Miles candidates. This will again help you in saving your time as well as money. Got it? Okay. Okay. So moving forward, I'll kind of run you through the breakup that we have for the cost. All right. So you can start off by enrolling for the Miles US pathway with payment of 20,000 rupees. This will be an out-of-pocket expense. And yeah, step two is you start pursuing your Miles US pathway. That is your 9 credits that is in India itself at JAXOM. So this will cost you about $9,900. This will be covered under the loan. Step three is, I'm sorry. Step three is very important because this is where you'll have to show the US universities your financial stability and things like that. And once that is done, university will give something called as an I-20 to you. This I-20 is very crucial because this will be used to help you get a US F1 visa. And this will cost around $2,000. And we've also accounted for the flight tickets within this cost. And this will be an out-of-pocket expense. This will not be covered under the loan. All right. So step four is your CPA program. So we highly recommend that candidates who are pursuing the Miles US pathway take up the CPA program. This is because CPA, again, like I mentioned before, CPA is equal to CA in the US, in India, right? So CAs are highly respected in India. Everyone in India, every accountant in India wants that two-letter CA in front of their name. So they work really hard to get there. And um, uh, it's the same for CPAs in the US, right? So if you want to progress in your career in the US, it's highly recommended that you take up the CPA program. It'll cost you about $2,300. It'll be covered under the loan. And step 5.1 and 5.2 is cost that you'll have to incur after you move to the US. So step 5.1 is your university fees. It's about $15,000 to $30,000. We have kept a range over here is only because the cost of the universities will differ based on the location and the university that you choose. All right. Step 5.2, we've also accounted for your stay in the US. That will be your cost of living over there. And since you'll be going there with a lot of accountants or a lot of Miles alumni, we assume that you will be sharing your accommodation with at least one person. So that's the reason we've kept it very nominal over here at $10,000. And step 5.1 and 5.2 both will be covered under the loan. So you do not have to worry about that for now. All right. So, and if we look at an indicative timeline, that is, if you start your journey to the US today, and if you enroll for the Miles US pathway today, so by September, you should receive your, by the end of September, you should receive your university offer letter. And by November, you should have your US F1 visa in hand. And if you can also start off your JAXOM program in India from September and complete it by Jan before you go leave for the US. And from Jan to December, you will be pursuing your master's in accounting as well as the CPA exam. And guys, again, I'm mentioning about the CPA exam. It's very important for you to get a job in the US and also succeed there. All right. And by December 2025, you can start working in the US on your OPT. All right. So if you just look at the ROI, your investment will be your 1 year study in the US. That's your master's in accounting and STEM, and your 2 lakh, which will be an out-of-pocket expense, and a 35 lakh rupee loan, which you will repay after you start working in the US. And the ROI that you get over there is the 3-year OPT on your student F1 visa, as well as the 50 lakhs per year salary, which amounts of over 1.5 crores over 3 years. Like I mentioned, you'll use this to repay your student loan. Right? So you guys saw the slide earlier, right? So over there, we were making about $16,000 in net loss. Now, the only reason you're making a profit over here of savings of $20,000 per year is because the $60,000 is into 3, which means it'll be about $180,000. Again, over here, we haven't accounted for the increments that you'll receive, the bonuses that you'll receive at the end of every year. All right. So if you look at the overall savings in 3 years, it will be more than 50 lakhs in 3 years. All right. So these are some of the Miles alumni who have already started working in the US. All right. So I'll just show another video of the class of 2024 who have just graduated.
So today I'm graduating. Class of 2024.
Franklin, we are unable to hear the audio of the video. Can you play it again?
Sure, sure. Let me do that again. I'll stop presenting and play it again.
So today I'm graduating.
Class of 2024.
That moment was truly brilliant.
Super excitement. I mean, it's like
Can you guys hear the audio now?
dream come true. I am living the true American dream.
What are you most excited about?
Dollar.
To have a job in hand while I graduate, it's just magical, man.
Working as an audit associate in New York, it has been life-changing for me.
In 2 months, I was able to get a job, which is not something that I hear of.
Coming here itself is the biggest thing, and then getting job is like I made it.
And just believe in yourself and the Miles team.
Now that I'm living this dream, I'm super excited, and thanks to Miles.
Okay. So how many of y'all over here on the call have questions for the alumni or want to directly connect with the alumni that you've seen, right? So when I was I really wanted to connect with some of these alumni when I first got to know about the entire program, and I wanted to at least understand their experience. What are some of the difficulties that they faced while while they've been moving to the US, right? So what we did was we came up with an initiative where you can get a chance to directly connect with some of our Miles alumni in the US, right? So all you have to do is scan this QR code on that is on the screen. And I think some of the links will also be shared in the chat. It opens up to a Google form. You can fill up the form over there, and our team will get in touch with you so that you can connect directly with some of our Miles alumni in the US. You can connect with them one-on-one, which means no one from the Miles team will be present on the call. You can ask the question, ask whatever questions that you want regarding the Miles US pathway, and you will get unhinged answers from our alumni, right? So make sure to use this opportunity, and this will definitely help you all understand some of the issues that people actually go through and what you have to prepare for. So you can ask them questions regarding the things that you might have to pack. Is it actually really cold over there in the US? And what is the kind of support Miles provides? What is the kind of support Miles provides in terms of placements and anything that is required, right? So I think the team will keep sending these forms on the chat for you to register. Make sure you use this opportunity, and most importantly, if you have decided to book a one-on-one slot with the alumni, make sure you attend these calls, because a lot of our alumni have already started working in the US, which means they'll be doing a full-time job. They'll be taking some time out of their day to make sure that they help you guys out, right? So I request you all to please value their time if you are booking these slots, and make sure you attend the call. All right. Moving forward, I want to talk about the placements that we've created. This is a very important segment. Please make sure that you listen with a lot of intent at this part, because this is going to help you guys a lot, right? So the placements in the US is something that is very hard for someone. You can see that there is a huge shortage in the US, right? Why can't I just apply for jobs in the US while I'm sitting in India itself and get placed, right? There are a lot of job openings in the US, right? But the only problem that is there is the visa issues. So this is where Miles has come in, right? So what we've done is we are working with more than 350 plus CPA firms in the US, as well as state CPA societies and alliances, right? So what we do over here is we go to them, we explain to them about the Miles US pathway. We explain to them that Miles is helping Indian accountants to move to the US, and because of STEM integrated courses, Indian accountants will be able to work in their US offices for more than 3 years, right? So that is what we are doing. And what else we are doing is we are conducting placement drives, right? We regularly conduct placement drives for our USP enrolled candidates. And through this, you can meet firms, directly speak to them, and and understand what is the kind of shortage that is there, right? So to directly hear from some of these firms, I'll just play another video for you guys.
The global economy is in crisis. After 2020,
We saw people backing out of accounting.
What I never saw coming is the massive staffing shortage.
It's a crisis.
300,000 accountants and auditors leave the profession.
The talent shortage is by far the most pressing thing that as a profession we're dealing with.
There's more CPAs that are retiring than that are coming in.
We live and breathe it every day. It's hard to find experienced talent.
Miles Education approached us and said, hey, we have a solution for you, and really help US employers get the help that we need.
Miles Education have really finding a solution.
This is an answer. This is doing something out of the ordinary.
Miles has cracked the puzzle for Indian accountants to work in the US for 3 years. Become a flag bearer for Indian accounting talent as you live the great American dream.
Right. So there is a shortage of accountants, and you've heard it from us, you've heard it from the alumni, you've also heard it from the firms that are there in the US, right? Now, what is left for you to do is you can start following us on our LinkedIn pages. You can start by following Varun Jain. You can scan this QR code, and also links will be provided on the chat. And how this will help you is you will get to understand what is going on directly there in the US, right? We have our corporate team. We have our senior vice president Chandu, who is there in the US. He's on the ground speaking to firms, and he's explaining to them about the solution, right? And when how this will help you is when you go for interviews, let's say you enroll for the Miles US pathway, you're all set to move to the US, and our placements team is able to help you with an interview. Like, for example, let's say RSM, right? You have an interview with RSM, and you just came across, since you're following Chandu or Varun or Miles Talent Hub profile, you came to know about one of the conferences RSM had in the US, right? And in the interview, you when the person who's interviewing asks you, why do you want to join RSM, or how do you come to know about RSM, right? You can just start off by saying, I just saw Chandu's post, I just saw Miles's post about what they're doing with RSM, how you're trying to tackle the shortage of accountants. This becomes a great conversation starter, right? So another thing that I want to bring to your attention is interviews in the US are more conversational than more technical, right? So they want to know if you will become a good culture fit when you work at their firm, right? So that is one of the important things that they look for. And if you're already done great research, if you're already following Miles, and if you already know what they are doing, it just helps you to get a head start there in the US. All right. Now, coming to the last part of it, right? We've spoken about you going to the US, working there for 3 years. Now, what happens after 3 years, right? So after 3 years, you can have two plans, right? Plan A is come back to India, where Miles will help you in working remotely at the same firm itself, right? And firms are very happy to do that because you've already been there, you've been integrated into their culture, where you've been working for 3 years, right? And they'll be very happy to hire you back in India itself, and uh, make sure that you work from India and still service their clients, right? And second thing is, under this, if you do not want to work at the same firm, Miles will help you get jobs in India at the big four or top MNCs, right? And your estimated CTC over here would be around would be upward of 20 lakhs, right? And plan B is H1B visa sponsorship. I want to mention over here that this is completely at the discretion of the US employer, and Miles has no role to play here. And even if the US eliminate you for the H1B in the US, it is subject to an annual cap and a lottery system of 85,000, right? So it'll be the H1B will be in a lottery system, and US has a cap of 85,000 every year, right? And this 85,000 is also further broken down into two categories, right? So it is the 65,000 regular category for and 20,000 for everyone who has an advanced degree. And since you done a master's in accounting with STEM integrated course, you qualify for both the regular as well as the 20,000 advanced category. But again, I want to mention over here that it is completely at the discretion of your employer, and Miles has no role to play here. All right. So you can get started right now by scanning this QR code here. And I'll also take up some of the questions that are here on the chat. All right. Okay. So Purab has asked, is there any course regarding business analyst? You are an ACCA affiliate, so want to go for something more advanced. All right. So as business analyst, right? So we have business analytics, which is integrated into the Masters in Accounting program. So that is how you'll, if you want to learn something in business analytics, that is where you'll be able to learn. But the jobs are in accounting, tax, and audit, right? So the kind of roles that you can expect after doing the Masters in Accounting program is courses related to that. All right. Saran has asked, are BBA candidates eligible? Yes, BBA candidates are eligible. Any accounting, any commerce related course are directly eligible. Apart from that, we'll have, if you come from any other background, we'll have to check your eligibility. Okay, Sunil has asked, how much communication is effective if you have a master's degree as well as 10 years? Communication is very important, right? So you need to have basic understanding of how to communicate, how to behave and things like that. All right. So that communication is very important when you're going to the US. Yeah. Sarana said, I will complete BBA and CFA level 1. And I will complete CFA level 2 and will get charter while working. By the way, if I'll be eligible for CPA, and does CFA bridge the gap for credits? Also, by doing BBA, how much credits I will get? So by BBA, again, all this we'll have to do an eligibility check for you, Saran. CFA charter or CFA any levels should be able to help the gap for the credits to become a CPA. With your CFA, you can also be eligible to write the CPA exam. All right. So again, make sure you get in touch with the team to get a proper eligibility check done and get started on your CPA journey. Kumar has asked if I want to only be a CPA then. If you only want to be a CPA, that's amazing. You can be in India. Miles has partnered with Big Four and Big Fours and top MNCs here in India itself. We'll help you get a job in India itself. It's amazing that you want to stay here. All right. Reshma. Okay, stay in the US is $10,000 for the whole course period. Yes, it is. Again, it's accounting for the entire course period in the US. Your stay will be is accounted for that, but we've kept it very nominal, so do not hold us to that. Uh, if you have if you're like me and if you like spending really big, so it'll probably go more than $10,000. But if you are very conservative, if you just like if you're like a normal person, then 10,000 should be more than enough. Vikash has said, if we are not able to crack CPA, will not get job after completing masters. I mean, if you finish your masters, you should also be able to complete your CPA program, because the entire masters is aligned with your CPA program. But but you will be able to get a job if you're on the CPA track, right? So if you've attempted the first exam, if you're preparing for your first exam, you should be able to get a job in the US, right? So as long as you have the motivation or the intention to start your CPA, you shouldn't have a problem getting a job. Okay, Shweta has asked, what is the 9 credit program? So 9 credits is to, again, 9 credits to help you save up on cost. So where you can do 30% of your entire coursework in India itself, right? So while the entire process of your visa, university shortlist and things like that are getting done, you can start your master's in accounting in India itself. And the entire 9 credits will be transferred to your US university. So it's like you're pursuing 30% of your coursework here and the remaining 30% when you move to the US. What is the difference between CPA and CMA? The explanation. Okay. So CPA is equivalent to an accountant or a CA in India, right? So what CPAs do, CPAs sign on audits, they maintain accounting books, they file taxes and things like that. And CMA is more of management accounting, right? So CMA works mostly in a CFO office. They manage costs, they help in projecting costs for the future, they help in analyzing costs and cutting costs and things like that, right? Again, it comes in accounting itself, but it's a completely different field. So accounting, audit, and tax is what a CPA can do. I mean, CPAs can also do what a CMA does, but CMA exclusively does only management accounting. Okay, Ken has asked, I've cleared both parts of CMA US and become a BCom graduate. Am I eligible for CPA? Yes, you are completely eligible for CPA. You can start the course by either scanning on the QR or getting started with the link that is there on the chat. Right? Bhavishya has mentioned, I do have 5 years of experience in US taxation and I can't directly sit for placement instead of masters in accounting. No, you. So let's understand why masters in accounting is there for us Indian candidates, right? So masters in accounting helps you get the US F1 visa. So once once you complete your masters in accounting, you unlock OPT, right? So OPT allows you to work in the US for 3 years, right? So if I with the experience you have, you shouldn't have a issue getting a job in the US. But masters will just help you get the visa thing sorted in the US. Right. Let's look at some more of Q&A that is here. Okay. Yeah. Anonymous attendee has asked if if I have 120 credits, I'm eligible to take the CPA exams. I'm currently preparing for the same with Miles. To complete 150 credits, I will be advised by the Game Plan Spock complete bridge course. Could you please confirm if the following program could help me complete the remaining credits? That for that you'll have to get in touch with the game plan team itself. They'll help you understand if that course will help you. All right. From the Jackson course, typically cost would be around $9,900. Miles ensures that the course is part of the pathway, helps student meet the credit requirements for CP exam while also offering whether this amount is included in loan or any advance payment is required. So this is included in the loan, like we discussed earlier. The Jackson course is included in the loan. All right. Okay, I will complete BCom. How can I gain extra credit points for the CPA license? You can get in touch with the game plan team. We have an entire course that is there to help you get your CPA license. If I went to the US, after how many days will I get a job in the US? So typically it shouldn't take much time. A lot of our alumni have landed in the US within 3 months. They've gotten a job. Within some have gotten a job within 6 months, and some have also got a job even before they fly to the US. Right. So it completely depends on you and how soon you are ready to attend the interview. Right. So we have a placements team that completely assesses or trains you for interviews in the US, right? Like I mentioned, interviews in the US are completely different from interviews in India. So the placement team has 2, 3, 4 mocks before you sit for an actual interview with one of the firms. If I do CP in India, then join this program, will I face any issues during the visa interview? I don't think you should face any issues during the visa interview because we have CAs who have gone to the US. We have people who are CPAs in India who've already gone to the US. So that shouldn't be an issue. What is the total fees? So estimated total fees is about $45,000, out of which 2 lakh will be an out-of-pocket expense and the remaining will be covered under the loan. Does Miles guarantee and support in soft skill training? So Miles definitely helps you with the placement process. Like I mentioned, we have a placement team who helps you prepare for all the skills that you need to sit for the interview. All right. Shweta, do we get any internship opportunities in the US while I'm doing the course? So this is a very good question, Shweta. So while you're pursuing your master's in the US, you will not be allowed to work anywhere else, right? You can get jobs that are on campus. You can get on campus jobs as teachers assistant and things like that. But apart from that, you will not be able to work anything until your OPT kicks in. That is your F1 visa kicks in after you complete the course. All right. So yeah, there are a lot of more questions that are there. Guys, thank you for joining today. Our team will keep posting a couple of forms that are there on the chat. make sure to drop in the questions over there, and also make sure to book slots, one-on-one slots with the Miles alumni, and clear all any doubts that you have. Thank you, guys.